Hey people, and welcome to the 4th anniversary project for Kamen Rider Hero. Yes, 4 years later and we're still not done. I, I apologize. So, so as you know, KD has been doing art for the series since I can't quite remember how long. As kind of like originally just as a thank you for the story being made in the first place. And then he just kind of became the artist. And I actually did start sending him like concept art for for like designs and whatnot. And considering there's like over 50 items of concept art I've shown him over the course of production, I figured I'd go ahead and highlight that for the 4th anniversary. However, there is one thing I would like to say, just as a quick little amendum to something I said in the past, assuming I'll be able to bring the clip in. There's a statement I made in an earlier anniversary video.
Which will have one little homage to Fami Kamen Rider, just because.
Yeah, that reference is going to get cut. I was originally going to mention that in the 2nd anniversary video, but the video part never panned out, so we're going to start off with one of the earliest known concept arts that I've done for the story. Like, we'll just kind of like I'll just talk a little bit about like something that went into the concept art, and then like show the finished artwork that KKD had made. So yeah. So the first concept art was actually for the helmet of Kamen Rider Frederick. And this was highlighted by KKD when he posted the image. The very first concept art that I had made was like something for Kamen Rider Frederick's helmet because I kind of wanted to have it look a specific way, so I figured it would be best if I like kind of just like concepted out what I had in my head and then sent it to KKD. You'll notice that actually quite a handful of these are helmets actually. It's kind of just weird, like just a weird little coincidence, if nothing else. The next image, reference image I appear to have made looks to be Kamen Rider Mikia's helmet, which is a mixture of the faceplate of the Ghost Tamashi for Himiko and like part of Kamen Rider Poppy's hair helmet thing. Although the thing I find most interesting about this is look at the file name. I misspelled it. Like at the time, I don't think I had committed to memory the spelling, and even now, I kind of blank on how it's spelled every so often. So yeah. Next, I believe is looks to be the helmet for Kamen Rider Sothe. The secondary rider for Mikia, Sothe, I think it is. It's made of like a helmet part from Kamen Rider Fuma and the mask of the Benkei Damashi. I'll admit that the frails that you can see are actually taken not from like a standard picture, but like it was an isolated crop of some artwork or like a still frame from a trailer actually. Then let's see. Trying to find it. Looks like there's also some concept art for Neo Hero in here. Like I can specifically find like his like one of his arms. And then, and I do believe that the picture of the 3DS here, what is actually mine, just cropped. And then, looks like, let's see. Oh, here we go. Next is actually the artwork for the Emblem Ranger one-shot, which, if you kind of want to go look at something to blame for the wonky scheduling for Hero, this was one thing that caused one hiatus, and then it was the one of the things I released like after I started my first semester of college. I actually do remember having some free time in one of my classes and kind of working on it a little bit, I believe. So yeah. So there's 4 images of the Emblem Ranger concept art, like the helmets, the poses, like just and then just what the two genders are supposed to look like. I'll openly admit that I don't remember how I managed to make like the color alteration for Hurricane Blue's helmet. Like I honestly am kind of blanking on it. The other ones are fairly obviously like paint edits, and then I just kind of like slid other things over them. But yeah. Next up, we actually have what is the first piece of unused concept art that I made. I'll openly admit that I don't actually remember sending this to KKD. It looks to be some kind of beta design for Kamen Rider Lucina's helmet. I'll openly admit that I do not remember making this. In fact, I can faintly see the shape of what looks to be Gokai Blue's helmet, and then some add-ons, but I honestly don't remember making that. And then, now we get to the kind of finalized image for Kamen Rider Lucina. Like, this is like one of the first, like, going forward, this would be kind of like the standard for like what I do for concept art. Like, basically just like some kind of hodgepodge image and then some notes for KKD for certain like elements so that he kind of knows what to draw. I'll openly admit that I think the helmet concept here is drawn a lot better. Like I'll admit I legitimately don't remember the first rendition of the helmet for Kamen Rider Lucina like at all. So yeah. There's also this concept art that I made for Lucina's final form ride. I'll openly admit that I really don't remember why I decided on a glider boomerang thing, apart from kind of writing the plot for the chapter first, deciding on the final form ride later. But yeah, that's just kind of a thing. Next up, there is this sort of ensemble that I made. I'll admit that I cannot remember what the heck I was thinking with this one. Like, I just kind of like assembled this 2 segments together to like just in case like I figured out what to do with it later. Like just make something, deal with it later. And then kind of like came other concepts. I'll openly admit that I recognize that the arms are supposed to be Kamen Rider Gems, but I can't quite remember what the shoulder, like what these little gauntlet parts are supposed to be. Like, then there's like another like ensemblage of like kind of coming together. And then we have the finished concept art for, believe it or not, as Kamen Rider Keida. Yes, this is supposed to be the concept art I made for Kamen Rider Keida. No, I don't quite remember what I was thinking either. Like, I can faintly recall certain elements, like wanting to make sure it kind of looked Showa-y and stuff, but yeah, I do not particularly remember what I was thinking when designing this, to be completely honest with you. Just kind of is. Next, we come to the concept art for, let's see. Ah, the concept art for the corrupted version of Kamen Rider Tiki. I had drawn I had merged, made like a merged image of the brighter suit first, and I'll admit that for some reason it came out looking kind of short for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, it just kind of did. And then the weapon, I kind of made it in three segments. I'll admit that the reason it became a whip was because of some me being on the Fire Emblem wiki and seeing that was like a DLC weapon via the Wi-Fi channel for the DS remake of Marth's game, and then and it just came from there. And somewhere between this is the concept art that I designed for the poster for Heroic Tales Kamen Rider Marth, which will hopefully come out at some point. Hopefully. One step at a time. Next up, we have the concept art for the Kaijin, which is the very first Kaijin concept art I've developed, I believe. And then the concept art for Kamen Rider Neo Hero's motorcycle, which is actually not completely supposed to be the motorcycle for Ghost. Part of it is actually Kamen Rider Chaser's motorcycle. It's supposed to be kind of visible right there. In the back end. There's a reason for this, but we'll get to that in the future. Also, there's one view that references how in the chapter the motorcycle debuted, there's a Wii U in place of right around where the handlebars would be. Kamen Rider Hero's motorcycle also has something like that, but it's a tablet. But I forgot to send the concept art to KKD, so it didn't end up in the final image. Whoopsie. I'll admit that's my bad because I'll say I honestly couldn't find it when I originally was sending the art to him. So, oops, my bad. Next, there's this concept art I made for the Hero Ride Watch, and then the Hero Armor, which has not been drawn yet. So, yay, you guys get a sneak peek. Kind of like something we did back in the very first anniversary video. Neat. I'll admit that while there is a Zio mini crossover planned, production on it's been slow. I'm just trying to make sure I get the right ideas cemented and stuff. It's just taking a bit. Next, we got the concept art for Kamen Rider Kamui, which I'll admit that I just took pictures of the toy Z-ring that I have and sent those to KKD for the reference image for the belt. And this is kind of the least changed thing I think I've designed so far, apart from the image between two of them. There was a form that ended up getting cut from the final version of the chapter because of how the plot progressed. got interrupted, so I'm trying to take a minute to remember what I was thinking about. Let's see. Because you can tell this is unscripted, I'm just kind of speaking like as I go. It was Kamen Rider form I was talking about. So yeah, there was one form that got scrapped from the chapter, but KKD does still have the art, so we'll see if anything comes of it in the future. Now for the big thing, the concept art for the stuff related to the draconic armor. The phone thing was actually one of the very first concept arts I sent to KKD before, like, I even had a finalized idea of what I wanted it to look like. It's just, this was something I had managed to put together and kind of liked them, just show them early, albeit without any kind of context. And it took quite a lot to finally get the draconic armor looking the way I wanted it to. But yeah, we finally got it, and it looks cool. Next, there's the draconic saber, which I'll admit that definitely, like, I kind of had in mind what I wanted. It's just kind of like took a bit to like make sure it looked sensible in a way, if that makes sense. Like, just kind of like making sure like the concept art was accurately portraying what I wanted to be done. Now to kind of bring it back to the past. The promo concept art I showed you back in the first anniversary video. That was for Hero's motorcycle. I'll admit that I just kind of thought it would be cool to show some concept art for something, but I figured it would be safer to obscure out like the dragon head just so you guys wouldn't clue in too early. So yeah, that's kind of a neat part, I guess. So you may think that's it for this video. No, there's actually a lot more concept art I've made, even if I haven't shown it to KKD just yet. But I'll admit that because it's been so long since I worked on it, I actually briefly forgot who some of the stuff was for. Like, there's this image I'm gonna show that's like of the sword from Shinkenger, and then kind of extended, and then like as a gun. I'll admit that I actually blanked on who that was for until I saw like another piece of art that was next to it. And I was like, oh yeah, it's for that character. I can't really talk about who it is yet. All right, I forgot about one concept art. The concept art for the Shadow Eyes Warrior. Yeah. So there's actually kind of like what I believe is the beta version of it. I can't quite remember. Like, I believe this was a beta design before I finalized it. It's been so long that I cannot remember if that was like if this was like meant to be the beta design for the for the Shadow Eyes Warrior, or if it's for something else completely. I'm honestly blanking really badly. Like, it's just been so long, so I can't clearly remember what this was originally meant to be. Hopefully it'll come back to me, but we'll see. So here's actually a fun fact about the Shadow Eyes Warrior. It was originally Shadow Dust Warrior, and the dragon form, which KKD never drew, but whatever, was actually originally meant to be Stardust Dragon rather than Blue Eyes. The reason this got changed was because KKD said he likes Stardust Dragon, and I was like, shoot, I gotta change this to something else. And then my own disdain for the stupid card because of Duel Links pretty much sealed the fate. So, meh. Lastly, concept art for the remaining two worlds' main characters. So, for those of you who saw the very first anniversary image that KKD drew for the story, you'll know that Kamen Rider Celica and Kamen Rider Itsuki are both in it because, like, I had actually already sent him the concept art for it, and like, he just put them in. So you guys actually get to see the concept art for two riders who technically have not been in the story just yet. So first off, we have Kamen Rider Celica. Yeah, I'll admit this was about when I started getting interested in Persona 5, so that's kind of why there's like an element from Futaba's Metaverse outfit, which, yeah, past me, that's an interesting note. So yeah, interesting note past me. I'll admit that when kind of designing the writers, that part of my idea was like the writers from like some of the older games would more so invoke the Showa era, while characters from more modern games would more so invoke the Heisei era. So that's why Marth, Celica, and Roy, who are the three oldest games in the story, look more Showa-like compared to Ike and everyone after him. And then here's Kamen Rider Itsuki's artwork, which, fun fact, when KKD originally asked to see the concept art so he could do the anniversary image, for some reason I sent him Celica's art and Kamui's art rather than Itsuki's. I don't know why I did that. I must have misclicked. And then there is some artwork for Kamen Rider Alm, but that's not done yet. It's just very unfinished. And then Kamen Rider Suit. Where is it? Where is it? Ah, Kamen Rider Tsubasa. Yeah, it's essentially somewhat similar to Itsuki's, but meh. And then the overall most recently made concept art thing would be just like the notes I made for Kamui's Final Form ride, which, yeah, basic. I'll admit that the in-between form that KD had designed was not something I had made. He kind of made it himself, so that's neat. So yeah, another piece of Kamen Rider Hero history. The story is nowhere near done. To put it in perspective, the grand chapter total for both this and Debo Sentai Karyuger, which is getting something soon, I promise, is both 50 chapters. Do the math of how far away we are from getting done. Stuff happens. Just kind of does. And yeah, that is it for the 4th anniversary. Okay, I guess I'll give you like a sneak peek of something that I haven't really kind of made like particularly well known. Just like some writer concept art that I've made that's like hopefully not too spoilery. Here we go. I have a vague idea who this is supposed to be, but yeah, it's just I'll admit I'm kind of blanking on some of what I was thinking with the concept art. This is actually finished, believe it or not. And then there's a rendition with him without that front cloak thingy. I'll leave it to you guys to see if you can figure out who this is meant to be. I doubt you'll get it, but we'll see. So yeah, thank you for joining us for the 4th anniversary. And here's to however long this is going to take to finish. It's gonna be a long time. Just live more.